Good afternoon. This is Diana Shad, the Director of the Family Business Alliance. I'm here today with Annie Link, the fourth-generation family member of Swisslane Farms located in Alta, Michigan. Annie, thanks for joining us today.
Welcome to the farm, Diana.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. So before we start, can you just tell me a little bit about Swisslane Farms and what you all do?
Yes, Swisslane Farms was started by my great-grandfather, Frederick Ursch. He was an immigrant from Switzerland, so that's where we got the name Swisslane.
Okay.
He came over, he wanted to live the American dream and become a farmer. So he started working at the Wingire farm, which is on Wingire Road, right around the corner from where we are. And he ended up marrying the farmer's daughter, and they bought the farm right next door. And so that's where we are right now.
And what year was that?
That was back in 1915. So our farm has been here for over 104 years. And I always tell everybody what we're trying to do is get the farm to make it to 200 years. That's my goal. So we've got 96 years left to go. Hopefully we can get to that. As the family grew, so did the farm. Right now, there's my dad and my two uncles who are the senior partners. We have myself and my two cousins, Tom and Matt, and we are the next gen. So we're working on our transition, our succession plan right now. We've grown over the years. Like I said, we started out, I think my grandpa started out with a handful of cows. Right now we're milking about 2,200 cows, and we farm a lot of ground, lease a lot of ground from other landowners. So we're farming about 5,000 acres. Got to feed the cows, right?
Right.
And then we have a lot of other things going on the farm as well. We've got about 6.
Purely milk, or are there other products that you do as well?
One of our values, like we talked about, is focusing on the cows. So everything is kind of based off around what's best for them. We've got to feed them, so we have the cropping enterprise that goes along with that. So we grow hay and corn, beans, and wheat. So we kind of do crop rotation with all of that. And then we also sell the milk from the cows, but then we have an educational program that ties in and serves the community as well. So we can offer more services to our community than just the agricultural side of stuff.
So how many cows do you have on the property right now?
Yeah, so we milk the 2,200, but then we also raise all of our calves as well.
Okay.
So if you took all of them and total them, it'd probably be about 3,800 total.
Okay. And I think you were in the news this winter about kind of the weather that we had and kind of taking care of the cows. Can you just talk a little bit about the care of the cows and just kind of about what's involved with that and how you go about caring for them and providing such a great home for them?
Right. The polar vortex is what we were going through this winter. They came out and were interested in how we were caring for the cows through the extreme weather conditions. So what we try to offer the dairy cows is they love consistency. They thrive when they can have a very routine. They just are very habitual creatures. So we try to keep everything as consistent and as routine as possible. So keeping their climate controlled in the barn as much as we can. So a day like today is perfect, where the humidity is low, the temperature is nice and steady. So about 67 degrees is when the cows hit their heat threshold. So what we are always concerned about, the cows can handle some cold, but they actually start getting stressed when there's a lot of heat. So we do a lot of preventative measures for that. Number one, we have them in the barns, so we keep the sun off of them. Even that was not enough, so we added fans. I've never even done an inventory on how many fans we have. We add new ones all the time, just adding more fans to keep them cool. And they're all in a thermostat, so it's basically like air conditioning, and they're all, once all the fans are all on high speed, that's when our sprinkling system kicks on. So the cows don't run through sprinklers, but they do love to stand and get cold water sprayed on their back in the heat. The cows love laying in sand. I always tell the kids, like, you go to the beach and lay in sand, but the cows aren't allowed to go to the beach, so we bring the beach right into the barn for the cows. It's nice and cool and comfortable, but we like that because of their milk quality. That sand kind of cleans their udders and makes sure that we have really healthy cows, comfortable, and then really high quality milk too. So, and then always just trying to keep the barns clean. You might think pigs as a messy animal, but my kids show pigs at the fair, so we have a couple of pigs at our barnyard at our house. the cows are way messier than pigs. And so we even have like automatic, I call them pooper scoopers, but they're alley scrapers, and they clean the barn for us, just automatically making sure that we're cleaning up after the cows so that we can keep them clean and ready to produce us high quality milk. The biggest thing though for the cows is making sure they have a good diet. I would contend that cows eat better than almost 99% of the people in the U.S. We've got a nutrition consultant who works with us. He's got a PhD in dairy nutrition. He comes over from Minnesota once a month and does an on-farm visit where he's testing, does milk tests. He does getting the highest quality feed so that they can make us the highest quality milk. So, and we're monitoring that daily, their intakes and then what their milk is, what their output is, and we can change that. We just have a software system where we're changing their feed rations, is what we call them, every day. So it's down to the macronutrient for these cows. Yeah.
It seems like things have gotten a lot more high tech, certainly from your, would it be your great grandfather?
Yep.
Okay.
Great grandfather. Just one great.
Okay, one great.
But well, what the cool thing about this technology is, I would contend that we know more about animal nutrition than what we know about human nutrition. And so it's just been leaps and bounds on what we've been able to, how we've been able to care through these cows by providing them the nutrition that they need and actually giving them what they need instead of what we think they need, what they actually need. So it's pretty cool just to see them respond to that and be able to have really high quality milk in return. So,
well, tell me a little bit about this dairy discovery, because it sounds like a lot of this information that you're collecting, you're sharing with the community and school kids in the community.
Right. Dairy discovery is a way for us to provide people a personal connection to their food, is what we've said. That's our mission. What we've realized is, like, I grew up on the farm, didn't know how disconnected people were. They say that people are 3 generations removed from the farm now. So that means you don't know where your food is coming from anymore. So what we're trying to do is bridge that gap and offer people a connection. Like, I'm not sure about you, but maybe you had a grandpa who was a farmer, and that was typically what people had. They could go and visit their uncle or their grandpa at the farm. Now there's not that option. So we're trying to make this our family farm, like your family farm. Come out and you can see how your food is made and what the animals are doing, what's going on a modern farm, and just providing people with authentic experiences that are fun and educational too. So that's our big goal for that. So we have a lot of school groups that come out. Today we had a kindergarten group from Byron Center here. There was 120 kindergartners, along with about 80 parents or 80 adults. So about one parent per kid. So I think the parents learned just as much as the kids, probably more. What we're trying to do is just offer them hands-on activities. A lot of times the kids will get off the bus and have their nose plugged. And I say, you know what? You're not at school today. You're not in the classroom. You're going to be doing new things today. You're going to smell new things. You're going to taste new things. You're going to see new things and do new things. And that's what we're trying to provide for them. And I think that really gives them that personal connection then when they're actually doing hands-on things.
Do you feel like as a society there's more receptiveness to this? Because I grew up in the 70s where everything was processed. It was Twinkies and Cheese Whiz. And it does seem like there's more of a movement towards whole foods and knowing where your food comes from. Are you seeing more of that in kind of our culture as a whole?
I would think just because it's just not an option anymore for people to just show up on a farm. Yeah. And then also we get so much information off of our screens, and we aren't experiencing it in real life. We're reading blogs, we're watching videos, but to actually do it yourself, that's something that a lot of people aren't able to do. So that's what Dairy Discovery can offer. Yeah, I have tons of stories about kids, just kind of that light bulb going off for them.
Do you bring in urban kids from Grand Rapids?
Yep. We had a group from GRPS come out last week. They're 4th graders. And the one little boy was like, oh, I'm not going to drink that milk. I'm scared. It comes from the cows. Meanwhile, he's drinking a 20-ounce red Faygo or something. And I'm like, you should be more worried about what's in that red pop rather than this natural, wholesome product that has like 2 ingredients in it, milk and chocolate syrup, Like,
right.
That's going to be... So just connecting that stuff with them and kind of making them think a little differently. Why we wanted to make dairy a nonprofit is because it's very labor intense. Like you get your own private tour guide to take you around and teach you all about what you're seeing and doing. So it's very labor intense tours, and I needed a lot more labor. So that meant I'm going to have to increase the admission cost. And I just thought that alienates a whole population or a whole demographic. So I thought, well, if I can do a nonprofit to everyone, so make it accessible to everyone. So that was a big reason and a big incentive for us to go to the nonprofit. And I love collaborating. I love being able to make connections and partnerships in the community. And so that was another big, positive for me. Kind of all the doors were opening, so we went for that. And so 2017, the end of 2017, we became a nonprofit organization.
Fantastic. So, and you run the organization then?
Yeah, so I would be the director, and then have a great manager and great team. There's 3 people on our staff who have teaching certificates, and then a lot of our other ones are from agricultural background or moms who know how to handle kids. So we have a great staff.
Well, and another neat thing that you do that I've enjoyed is your specialty shop. And I actually, last time I saw you, went over there and did some shopping. Can you tell us a little bit about that and some of the products from the area that you carry over there, just promoting some other businesses as well?
Yeah, great thing about the specialty shop is supporting all of our programs at Dairy Discovery. It is part of the nonprofit. So when you're shopping there, you're actually supporting this educational program that's offering great service to our kids in our community. So some of the products that we offer, we're really excited about our beef. That is the stuff that we raise right here at Swisslane. You can get steaks and roasts and all that. And also even snacks. Like I'm going to have the teriyaki jerky for my lunch today. And then we partnered with a friend of mine from Wisconsin. He's a master cheesemaker in Wisconsin. And I think it's hands down some of the best cheese I've ever eaten.
It's
I'm
wonderful.
kind of a cheese snob. So it's hard for me to find cheese that we really like and get excited about. So unfortunately, we did have to go all the way to Wisconsin to get that, but maybe someday we'll be able to make some really high quality cheese right here.
And then I've had your maple syrup
Michigan
as well.
Yep, we have a maple syrup, and we have some other products from, like we partnered with the Red Barn Market and offer salsas and jams from them, and then we have some honey, our neighbor products. It's a lot of fun for people to have that connection to their food when they leave here too. So. Kind of best of both worlds. So growing up on the farm was pretty intense. We always had jobs to do. There were always chores after school. I guess for me, when I was really little, my passion was always for animals. I would be rescuing kitties. I was like the cat whisperer. So I knew I had a passion for animals, and most of my childhood I was going to be a vet. And so I knew I wanted to do something with animals. I'm not quite sure what it was. And then when I got to high school, I was one of our head milkers. So our milking shift was about 4 hours long. So I'd come home after school. I'd have practice, cross-country or track practice. And then I'd go and milk. And basically what I was trying to do was just get done as fast as I could so I could get to the football or basketball games, right? I wasn't really worried about the milk quality and stuff like that. So things have really changed. By the time I got to college, our milking shifts were 8 hours. I'd started my family and became more active in like the calf area so I could bring my kids with me, and then started the zone with my kids and just could speak to that age group really well. So yeah, that's how I kind of got started. But growing up, I didn't think I was going to come back to the farm. I actually left here right after high school and went to Grand Valley. Freedom, and then only took me about 2 years. My husband and I started our family a little premature, and I knew this is where I wanted to raise my kids. So we came back, and that's when I started the calves and the Dairy Discovery. And then my roles kind of changed a lot in the last few years. So now I'm one of the junior partners, and then my role is HR and PR and a lot of administrative, like special legislative projects and stuff like that too.
What are things that you instill in them, especially in a farm? You sort of think you have to work together. You're working with the animals. You think about hard work.
Well, I think when we talk about sustainability and stuff, like I ask all the kids who come to visit on the farm, we need your help. We want to make it another 96 years. Well, when you think about that, everything you do has to be with that in mind, right? I mean, it's not just going to happen that you stay a farm for another generation. So with how you're caring for the environment, with how you're caring for your finances, with how you're caring for the animals, all that ties in, right? So what we try to wake up every day is just continuous improvement. How can we do better? What are we going to do next? And kind of build off of that. We just want to make sure that we leave here with the same opportunities. I don't know if my kids are going to want to be a farmer, but I'm going to make sure that if they do, that's an option for them. So some of those values would be, like I said, we actually have our core values of the business. I can rattle those off.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Something we talk about all the time. So we always talk about God-honoring conduct, how we're conducting ourselves with integrity, trustworthiness, and just making sure we are responsible to our Creator, right? So that involves like caring for the land and everything, all encompassing. So that, and then light years ahead, just always trying to think visionary, turning a nickel into a dime. So being, again, that financial resource that we're being stewards of. Making hay while the sun shines is just being passionate and trying to get the work done at all costs, right? And sometimes it's literally making hay while the sun shines. That's what it is too. Focus on the cows. So that kind of goes back to our animal husbandry and just knowing that the better care we take of the cows, the better they're going to perform for us and they're our livelihood. So we got to be focusing on them. And then becoming productive people. Like what are we doing to better ourselves and continuing education and just having a good attitude. And so those are our core values. And that's what I try to instill in my kids. The cool thing about that, though, is I think, when it really comes down to it, we sit down at the table and, like, they know. They're just, like, have a true understanding and respect for what's on their plate. It's, like, not taken for granted is what I love about that.
So to get to those next 96 years, you have your values. What are things that you use? What are resources that you use to get you there? Are there consultants? Are there educational resources? Are there things that you use to help the business thrive and survive?
Yeah, we need a really strong team of consultants around us, and we've been researching more about who we can gather and always trying to improve ourselves. So we've got our nutrition consultant, like I said. We've got animal health consultant, or like a veterinary consultant there. We have environmental consultant to help us make sure we're applying our manure and being good stewards of the environment, following all the regulatory. I made a list of all the consultants because then our cropping consultant, which those two kind of go hand in hand. We have to make sure we're getting the best feed value out of our crops that we can for the cows. So cropping consultants. Then we have financial consultants that we use to kind of go over, do some benchmarking for us and give us, pretty tough goals and have some tough conversations and give us, kind of like our strategy for going forward on the finances. And then we have our HR consultant as well. Yeah, a lot. We need a really strong team behind us is what I'm finding out. Like, I'm not going to do this by myself, and of course I have my cousins too, but we know that we need a strong team behind us going forward. So
well, it's always important to have good resources. So do you market yourself as a family business?
I wouldn't say that we go around and have that as like a tagline or anything, but it's definitely something we talk about for the tours, just because we want people to know, like, this might be what you might consider a factory farm, but it's also our family farm too. We have, like, my grandparents still live right here on the property. I live just down the road. We have about 34 family members within 2 miles of the farm. So we love this community, and now we have all these people working alongside of us, and I see them as like our family too. I go through a pretty tough hiring process, and so we make sure we weed out the people and make sure we get the best of the best. And once they come in, they join the team, and they are just like family too. So
to wrap up, do you have any advice for anybody working for a family business? Is there anything that you would say is the best part or the most challenging part of being with a family business?
Yeah, the hardest part for us has just been trying to figure out the succession plan and working through that generational gap. Like, the way that my dad ran the business is very different than the way that we're running the business. And just communication is just key. Trying to make sure you communicate. And for me, I know it's just been our faith, hanging on to that and practicing forgiveness and extending grace every day. So that's what's helped me in the last 4 years for sure. It's just been kind of a little mantra for me. So.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having us, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.